Hey guys, I just want to give a quick few thoughts about The Last of Us as a whole. As you guys know, The Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. And when they announced that they were going to make a TV show, I was like, oh no. Because I knew they weren't going to live up to the game. So now the question comes, does the show live up to the game? And my answer is no. And I mean, that's to be expected, man. The game is an absolute masterpiece. The show was good. At the beginning, I was like, hey, guys, I'm predicting that I'm going to give this show an 8 out of 10. It's not going to be as good as the game, but I think it's going to be a solid show. We got solid people behind it. It's done by HBO. I think it's going to be a solid show. So now, does that still stand? Do I still think that the show is an 8 out of 10? Well, they cut down a lot of the action. There was not much action. There was not many clickers present in the show. This show is The Last of Us. What sets this apart from other post-apocalyptic shows and movies are the clickers, right? And we didn't get the build-up of Joel and Ellie from the beginning of the show. The most important dynamic of this story, we didn't get that solid foundation. We did end up with a good relationship between the two, but we didn't get that build-up between Joel and Ellie. What bugs me is that we got to see Sarah going to school. We got to see the whole Left Behind DLC. We got to see a whole episode about Bill and Frank, a whole made-up story that never happened in the game. And we took away what happened in the game and replaced it with this. Yet, we rushed the last episode. We didn't spend enough time building that relationship between Joel and Ellie. What makes The Last of Us, the core of The Last of Us, is the relationship between Joel and Ellie. That should be the focus. And as soon as you start losing sight of that and start focusing on other areas, especially without getting that dynamic right, I'm going to have a problem. And on top of that, Joel didn't act like Joel in the game. Ellie didn't act like Ellie in the game, especially in the beginning with Ellie. But later on, I feel like Joel's differences from the game were more prevalent. Ellie did better. But still, both of them didn't live up to the Joel and Ellie in the game. And please, don't take that as me bashing the actors. I'm talking about the writing and especially the direction here. When the director specifically tells you to not pay attention to the source material, that might be a red flag. But all that said, what the show did great was that it made me feel like I was in The Last of Us. The set design was great. The scenery, it really looked like certain shots of the show. I was like, whoa, this is really from the game. They used dialogue literally straight from the game. They got the guy who did the soundtrack for the game to do a lot of the soundtrack in the show. And that is great. I really enjoyed that. But is that enough to bring it up to an 8 out of 10 for me? And I'm looking at this show as an adaptation, which it is, an adaptation of a masterclass in storytelling, a 10 out of 10 game. Does this show live up to that? So now the question comes, as a Last of Us fan, what would I rate this show? And mind you, I'm not rating this show as just another TV show. I'm rating it as an adaptation to one of the greatest games of all time. So, looking back at all these episodes, the good and the bad, I'm going to have to give The Last of Us on HBO a 6.8 out of 10. Hey, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned this. If I didn't play the game and I just watched The Last of Us as another TV show, I would stand by my initial prediction of an 8 out of 10. I would rate this show, just as a show, I would rate an 8 out of 10. If you agree or disagree, let me know your thoughts about this show down in the comment section. If you guys want to know my thoughts on specific episodes, feel free to check out my reviews on the individual episodes. I'll leave them down in the description. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.